Hey. Can you just talk to us? Well, that took enough time. Well, we're delighted to be doing our concert this evening on the traditional territory of the Esquimalt and Songhees First Nations, and so we're excited that you're here this evening. You know that 20 years ago, I was looking back and seeing what were some of the things that were happening 20 years ago. There was Toy Story, Beanie Babies, some of you probably still have those and thought that you were going to make millions of dollars off of them. eBay made its debut, Starbucks started selling Frappuccinos, and Courtney Cox was the sexiest woman alive. And for you women, or some of you men, Brad Pitt was the sexiest man alive. And the BC government and Nisga'a signed an historic treaty 20 years ago, and there were the ice storms in Quebec. But probably more importantly than all of that was 15 people got together on a July summer night up at the Queen Alexandra Centre. June Preston, wave your hand, June. June organized 15 of us to get together, and we started what would to be later become the Arbutus Singers that fall. And so we're delighted that you're here tonight to share with us in the 20th anniversary of us coming together and being this group. You know, thank you. There's actually 6 people in the choir that have been in the choir since the beginning that very first year. We have Jane Cowell. I'm going to ask them to raise their hands in just a moment or wave. Jane Cowell, Maureen Hollingworth. Oh, there's Jane's fan club. Where is Maureen Hollingworth's fan club? Hollingworth, yay. You can all be fans. You can all clap for them. Edie Jefferson. Marjorie McKinnon, who is having a little bit of a voice issue, so she wasn't able to come up on stage tonight. June Preston, who I already mentioned, let's give her a round of applause. And Elwyn Tomlinson, who is there. You know, over the last 20 years, we've had probably about 240 people that have been through the doors of the Arbutus Singers. And tonight, we are delighted that we have about 80 in the choir, and that we also have a number of alumni that are going to come up and join us in the second half to sing a couple of songs with us, which will be a real treat. And one of the things that we know, though, is that pretty well everyone that is here tonight will know somebody from the Arbutus Singers. And what we traditionally have called this is the Friends and Family Concert, because you are here because you have a friend or family member in the choir, or you know somebody in the choir. So what I'd like you to do is to stand up and to say hello to your neighbors and just say, who is it that you know in the choir? So seriously, I'm being serious. We're taking... Okay, that's good. That's good. Shh. Okay, excellent job. Excellent job. Okay. Yeah. You know, the other thing that we're doing, and we're delighted to be here at First Met, is because we are live streaming the concert. So we have, straight ahead of me, there's a camera, and there's cameras all around, so be careful what you're doing. If you're texting, we will catch you. But we are delighted that we have people from all over the world that are joining us this evening. I'm just going to read out a few of the countries that are joining us. The whole country is going to watch us this evening. But we have folk from Red Deer, which is my hometown. We have Karen's mom, Rita Smiley, that's joining us this evening. Yay, there are some friends. We have Natalie's grandkids from Kelowna that are Evan and Lucas that are 4 and 6. We're hoping that you're still up, and if you're not, that maybe you're in bed. We also have Frank and Elaine's son and daughter-in-law from Japan supposedly joining us. Marcelo, who is from Brazil, has invited his whole family to join us from Brazil. He also has friends in Angola, Cuba, the United States, and Portugal. It's because he's moving around an awful lot. We're not sure why. But if the feds are watching, he's not here this evening. We also have somebody from CBC Toronto, possibly from CBC, watching us this evening. Somebody's sister is in the choir. Jill is in the choir and suggested that her sister from CBC Radio 1 should be doing a program about us. So we wanted to specifically welcome you this evening. And if you welcome. And we have lots of others that are joining us from across BC and across the United States that we'll acknowledge in a little bit. But you came to hear us sing. So we're going to be singing the best of the last 20 years. You have the program in front of you. The first song that we're going to sing is called Feeling Groovy. Now, the Feeling Groovy song is a Paul Simon song, and it used to be called the 59th Street Bridge song. And the story goes that when they would cross the bridge, that was where the police in Manhattan or New York would actually burn all the wacky tobacco that was being confiscated, and that people would go near this where it's being incinerated so that they could smell the cannabis, wacky tobacco, in case you aren't sure what that is. And we thought it was particularly appropriate with the legalization of marijuana in Canada that we would start our concert with Feeling Groovy. We're going to follow, that didn't go over that well, so anyway, after that we're going to sing the song Africa from Toto, and we're absolutely delighted this evening to be singing that song, which we sung several years ago. And we have with us tonight Marguerite Gardner, she's going to be playing the bass, and Brian is going to be playing the drums along with Robin. So our first two songs, Feeling Groovy and Africa.
Got to make the morning last, just kicking down
Well, the next song that we're going to do is Bohemian Rhapsody. Bohemian Rhapsody is a song by Queen, and it's kind of an unusual rock song in the fact that it kind of goes on for about 6 minutes. It's more kind of like a little opera about what's been going on in this guy, Freddie Mercury's life and things like that. It reached big prominence back in the 70s, but then it received a resurgence when it was featured in Wayne's World in the 1990s as one of the songs in that movie from Wayne's World. I'm sure all of you have that at home on your DVD list. Anyway, we're going to sing our version of Bohemian Rhapsody for you.
We will not let you go.
Thank you. Well, the next song that we're going to do is called Truly Brave. It is a mashup. A mashup is where you take two songs like a deck of cards and you spin them together. And so the songs are Truly Brave. It's the Cyndi Lauper song, True Colors, and the song Brave from Sarah Bareilles. And so one of the things that is really cool about this song is if you were to actually Google it, not now, but if you were to Google it, and there was a group. It was written something to do with cancer patients and young children and being truly brave with the plight of what they were going through. So this is our version of Truly Brave. Thank you. Well, you know, one of the things that we pride ourselves with the Arbutus singers is trying to do a lot of things on the cheap. And one of the things that we have done is that we used to practice in various places initially that were free. And then we found that we were getting a little bit bigger and we weren't able to find a place. So we moved on to some inexpensive church halls, and that was really wonderful. But then there was a bit of a bump. and we were being displaced because they were doing some renovations. So we have a history of going to some seniors' places, and again, because of June, you've all met June 3 or 4 times already this evening, but, and it is June. So the thing, though, is that we said, well, why don't we see if we could do a practice at a senior's place and have something in the evening, because sometimes there's space in the evenings at some of these seniors' residences. So we were fortunate because we were near the Wellesley, and so June called up and found out that we could actually practice in their beautiful space at the Wellesley on Wednesday evenings, and if we made a donation to their travel fund. And so for the last couple of years, we've been using this absolutely amazing space, and we've made some absolutely wonderful friends at the Wellesley through this endeavor. And in fact, I believe that there's a bus of people from the Wellesley here tonight. So if you're from the Wellesley, could you raise your hand? Because we want to acknowledge and say thank you for coming this evening. In fact, about a week and a half ago, I did something foolish and I fell off my bike, and I'm not even going to tell you why or how. But if you look closely, I am just recovering from a bit of a black eye. And so what ended up happening was Jean, who is she comes and stays for the entire practice, and she is 3 or 4 months away from turning 100. She's just sitting over there with Scott. I know I'm not supposed to tell a girl's age, but I decided to. But Jean herself was in show business, and she was very concerned about my black eye. So none of the other women in the choir thought to do this, but Jean brought her own concealer to me on Wednesday night in case that my black eye was still there. So Jean, I have your concealer, and it looked like a pretty expensive brand. So I'll give that back to you. But anyway, it's tied into the next song that we're going to sing. We're going to sing What a Wonderful World. And this is one of our favorite songs that we've been singing over the years. It's such a wonderful song about how great life is, and just friends shaking hands and saying, how do you do? And when you shake hands, it really is saying that I love you. And one of the things, we've met so many wonderful people as we've been on this endeavor with the Arbutus singers, that we'd like to sing that. In fact, one of the things that I learned when I was doing some research, it was originally supposed to be sung, it was offered to Tony Bennett to sing, and he turned it down, and then Louis Armstrong was offered the song, and then the rest is history. So this is What a Wonderful World.
What a
Well, often, if you've been to one of our concerts before, what we do is we will do a medley of a musical. And so when I was thinking over the last 20 years what some of the best musicals we could have selected, Phantom of the Opera, we could have selected Miss Saigon, we could have selected My Fair Lady. There was just so many amazing songs that, Wicked, we've done Wicked as well. But we decided, well, not we, I decided, let's get this clear, who decides things. I decided that we would do Les Mis for a whole host of reasons. One is the music is absolutely spectacular. The story is just amazing. For those of you who aren't familiar with the story, just a brief highlight of the story. It's about a gentleman named Jean Valjean. He steals a loaf of bread for his sister because she is hungry and starving. It's right around the time of the French Revolution, before the French Revolution, or maybe it's during. And so he goes to jail for about 15 to 17 years, somewhere in there. He has a mean parole officer who's Javert, and Jean Valjean, he gets away, he meets a priest who takes pity on him. The priest says, go do good things. Jean Valjean turns his life around, and in the course of it, he ends up basically adopting a young woman whose mother, who used to work for him, ends up very ill and she dies. And so his life is to look after her and to do good in the world. So this is our medley of Les Miserables. After this, we're going to take a very short break. It should be close to about 45 minutes, unless I've been, we aren't singing for 45, but 45 minutes into the program, unless I've been talking too long. And then we're going to come back and do the second half. And remember that always the second half is even more amazing than the first. Thank you. Round of applause for Robin, please. Robin, would you stand? There you go. And all our soloists, wave your hands. All of the soloists there, thank you. Okay, thanks, thank you, thanks. We promised a 2-hour concert, so we're going to take a bit of a break. Come on back, and for those of you watching, text me. There's the number on the website that if you want to text and let me know that you're watching, I'd love to hear from you, 250-589-4268 for a good time. Okay, we're going to take a short break. By the way, there are some washrooms at the back there. There's washrooms through the doors over here, and we're going to start in like 10 minutes, so we'll see you shortly. Okay, we're going to get going with the show because some people are watching live and they have asked us to get a move on. No, they didn't. In fact, I've received about 25 texts so far from different people. 3 are from my sister who's watching in Old, so I need to say hello to her. And so hello, Sharon. Everything I learned about music, I learned from you. Anyway, I just got a text from a proud grandchild. Great, Olivia O'Keefe, great job, granddad, for Robert Fowler. Beautiful singing and nice outfits. Don't forget you owe me money. We have people from Saskatoon watching. We have people all over the place. We have somebody in Barbados that's on vacation and is staying up to watch. We have Natalie's grandson and grandkid and son and grandson are watching. And you know, when I hurt myself off the bike, I told you about that earlier, right? Because I might have a concussion. I might be repeating myself. And about what was really great was my doctor is very accommodating, and he made sure that I could get in right away. And he is so good that he came to the concert tonight, and he said that, you know, just in case that I have another fall or something, he wanted to be here. So if you could give Dr. Alec Walton a big round of applause wherever you are, standing on standby. There you go. As well, I got a text from somebody that there are people here tonight that saw the information in the Times Colonist and actually didn't know anybody in the choir. So afterwards, we have treats and we have goodies. That's why a lot of people come. And so we're going to do those afterwards, and please introduce yourself. So the second half, thank you for staying. We think that there was very low recidivism or people leaving. But the second half, we're going to start out with Proud Mary, the song from John Fogerty. And some of you will know the song, and if you want to join along, the next couple of songs, you can join along. So the words are kind of complex. Rollin', rollin', rollin' on the river, okay? You got that? Okay, I think some of you might know it. Okay, so here we go. And we got Brian on the drums there. He's going to give us some good drum work. So here we go.
Way
Well, truthfully, I couldn't hear you. Were you singing? Raise your hand if you honestly were singing. You were? Okay. Well, the choir is full. Just kidding. Okay, the next song that we're going to sing is Let the Sunshine In and Aquarius from Hair. And there is the part, again, at the very end of the song where we sing Let the Sunshine In. Y'all know it? You're all nodding your head? Okay, you get to sing along with this too, but this time what we're going to do is when we start singing this, we sing it about 5 or 6 times. I'm going to turn around and get you to stand and join along with the melody so that you get to stand a little bit, if you want to stand, if you can stand. So here we go. Aquarius and Let the Sunshine In. Thank you. Some of you are like, oh my goodness, let me sit down as fast as possible. No, that was excellent singing. I could hear you that time, and thank you so much for indulging me. We're having a lot of fun tonight because, as I say, this is the culmination of working so hard. Do you know that there's about 10 people that are in the choir? This is their first year, and that for many people, they have perhaps learned some of the songs. They might have forgotten them, but at least they were a bit familiar with them. But for some people, this is their very first time singing many of these songs. So if this is your first year in the choir, could you raise your hands and could you give them a big round of applause for learning all of this music? There you go. Thanks. Well, one of the things that I love doing is medleys. And the reason I love doing medleys is because you get the best snippets of little songs, you get the best melodies, and then you get on to the next good melody. So the next song that we're going to sing is called California Dreaming. And it's a medley of great 60s tunes. It includes songs from the Mamas and Papas, the Turtles, the Beach Boys, all sorts of great songs from the 60s. And I'm sure that you will recognize many of them. California Dreaming.
For all my
One of the songs that we've come to love is from a little-known musical called Chess. And in that musical, it's just what the word implies. It's about this chess match, and what happens is one of the chess players defects. And when he defects, he's asked about, well, what about your country? And he talks about the very fact that he still loves his country, that his heart is still with his country. And so the song that we're going to sing is called Anthem. And it's absolutely a beautiful song. And we're very delighted that Hannah Fair will be playing the flute for us this evening, along with Robin. My notes are all out of order, and so I'm going to wing it. The next song that we're going to sing is Ain't No Mountain High Enough, and this is a song from the 60s. And it was, I believe, originally sung by Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell. But then I think Donna Summer recorded it with another group, and I can't remember the name of that group. But Ain't No Mountain High Enough is such a fantastic song that is been on the pop charts for a long time. And so this is going to be our version of Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Well, our next song is Lean on Me, and this is a song that it's a version from Glee. And in the Glee version, of course, you know that what happens is they go through the story, and then with 5 minutes left, they decide to throw all the songs out, and they bring in a new one, and they learn it in 10 minutes before the show. Well, we've been working on this for a little bit longer than 10 minutes. And you can see that we have a number of groups and solo work things that are going to be happening, and so we're very excited about this song. Lean on Me was first performed in 1972. I think Bill Withers is the gentleman that wrote the song, and it's noted as the 208th top Billboard song of all time. So we absolutely love Lean on Me.
face tomorrow.
Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please, for your pride, if I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show.
Just lean on me.
Call on me, brother, when you need a hand. Need somebody to lean on. Just like a problem, have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. If
There is a load.
there's a load
Have to bear. That you can carry.
right up the road,
I'll share your load.
if you just call me, call me,
I'm calling.
call me, call me, call me, call me, call me, call me, call me. It won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on, lean on, lean on, lean on, lean on me.
When you need a friend, lean on. Lean on.
Lean on me.
When you need a friend, lean on. Lean on me. I'm gonna need
Somebody to lean on. Somebody to lean on.
Big round of applause for our soloists. Yes. Okay. There we go. So as I mentioned before, we're excited that the Arbutus Singers alumni have decided to join us. This is the first time we've tried this, and I've asked, we actually called just about everyone that was in the choir over the last 20 years. Martin Shadley did all the calling, and we found some interesting things as we made phone calls. But what happened was we, come on up, you guys. Yep, come on down. Putting your money away. Anyway, so we're really we're going to sing a couple of songs with the Arbutus Singers alumni, and these are songs that we've sung that have just been such favorites. The first, but before we do, I want to just do a couple of acknowledgements. We have 3 people at the back that have been doing all sorts of things for us from the church here. We have Tryson, who is our live streaming guy. We have Jim, who is doing the sound. We have Paul that's doing the light. So if you could give them a round of applause. And of course, what's going to happen after this, if you stick around, is that we have wonderful treats at the back of in the church hall at the back there. And so it's an opportunity for you to get to talk to the Arbutus Singers, as well as for those of you who might not know anyone, to say hello. We would love to meet you. Thirdly, if you've enjoyed tonight's concert, the proceeds of tonight's concert, after the expenses for this beautiful facility and a few other small expenses, all the proceeds will go to the Choir Kids program. And we are absolutely delighted that the choir itself over the years have raised about $85,000 just from the concerts since we started the program. Yes. The other thing that we do as a choir is that we started the Choir Kids program in 2006, and pretty well everyone that was a board member was from the choir, and that we made grant applications and things like that, and we received grants from the Victoria Foundation and from CFAC Santa's Anonymous and TELUS, the Community Fund and Country Grocer and Thrifties, you name it, we went for money. But you can tell where this is going, don't you? And so if you've enjoyed tonight's concert and thought that the price that you paid was not enough for the enjoyment of the concert, then we would love for you to make an additional donation, because, as I say, all the proceeds go to the choir kids. And in fact, tomorrow afternoon at 2:30, we have we're repeating the concert. The only difference is that there are going to be about 110 kids on stage at the start of the concert that are going to be singing from communities where the kids don't have many musical advantage opportunities. So we're delighted that we can support that, and that the Victoria Conservatory of Music now has assumed responsibility for the choir kids program. So we're absolutely delighted. And then the other thing is that we have some of our other supporters. Stephanie is and Dennis are probably here from St. Elizabeth's Church. We actually go out, and for 14 or 15 years we've gone out and done a concert in Sydney early or mid-May, and we've raised over $80,000 or $90,000 for the charity that they've been involved with, and they do great work in South Sudan. So the choir is a bit unique in that we try to give all of our proceeds, we give our proceeds away to charities, and our charity of choice right now is the Choir Kids program that we started. So if you're watching online and you've enjoyed it, you actually have not paid very much to watch. You can go to Choir Kids at the Victoria Conservatory and make a donation. We'd sure appreciate it. But we are going to sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which is a favorite, the Julie Garland song from The Wizard of Oz. And then following that, we're going to do You Raise Me Up. And I'll talk about that in just a moment after we sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
When all the world is a homeless
Well, I've been asked to say a few words on behalf of the choir in our absolute gratitude to Jack. As you know, this is our 20th anniversary, and I'm proud to say this is my 17th year. And what he brings to the choir each week, you can't measure. He brings joy, he brings musicality to all of us. And it seems appropriate that we're going to sing You Raise Me Up next, because Jack raises us up each Wednesday. And at these concerts, if you could have seen Jack backstage before we started, I've never seen him glowing and so happy. And so there's also one more thing I'd like to say. It's going to be Jack's 30th birthday in 4 days. Oh, no, not 30, well, close to 30. It's going to be his birthday in a few days, so I think it would be wonderful if we could sing happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jack. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Hello, is the mic on, Jim? Okay, it's just, we're getting used to this mic. Anyway, thank you very much, Martin. And truly from the bottom of my heart, the choir is what raises me up, and that's why I've loved doing it for the last 20 years. In fact, we were doing some rough calculations, and depending on if you think there are 40 practices in a year, and then there's about 40 to 45 because we have extra practices at our home, and then we have performances. We probably are looking at upwards of 50 times that we get together during the year, unless I'm traveling for work or whatever, which works out to be close to 900 to 1,000 times that some of us have gotten together. And it's interesting that 6 people have managed to stick around for 20 years. It still amazes me. But truly the choir has become dear friends, and I'm delighted that some of the alumni have been able to come back this evening. So the song that we're going to sing is You Raise Me Up. About 10 or 12 years ago, I was the executive director of the Prostate Center for a couple of years, and I decided that it would be fun to do something with choirs. So over the course of 2 nights in First Met, we brought 4 choirs together over 2 nights each, and we decided that what would be the good group song that we would sing. Well, You Raise Me Up was first recorded in 2002, and so I loved that song, and I didn't know the irony of You Raise Me Up and prostate cancer until after I'd selected the song. However, nonetheless, it's good to have a bit of humor. And so, but it's an absolutely phenomenal song. And the gentleman that wrote it, actually, he wrote it for his mother for her funeral. And when we sing the song for you this evening, what I would just encourage you to think of somebody in your life that has raised you up. Because for me, there's a part in there where it talks about you raised me up to walk on mountains. And I think of my dad, because I used to go horseback riding with my dad. And so when I think of raising me up, I think of my father, and I'm sure all of you will think of who that special person is that might have raised you up or is still raising you up. So this is our final song for this evening. We hope you enjoy it, and we look forward to seeing you for treats out back. Okay, you may be seated. So we did we do happen to have one more that we'll do for you. And for all of you that have been watching live streaming, we're just delighted that you've stayed with us this long, if you're still there. And we hope that you might be able to make it to Victoria, a beautiful place to be. We're going to do one more song, and then this really will be the end. We're going to sing Hallelujah. Thanks. Let's give the alumni a big round of applause. Raise your hand if you're an alumni. Yay. There you go. Thank you so much. Okay. Thanks so much. So we'll see you in the hall at the back there. Thanks ever so much. And we'll turn up the lights so that everyone can see and not fall. Okay. Thank you.